Squatch Senior here, back on the Farmall 350 diesel. Going to start putting this injection pump back together, but I'm going to start from the filters and work my way around. So I got everything laid out here for the first filter, so let's get that thing installed. As you can see, that thing hides up in there a long ways. Get her snug down pretty good. There, we got the disc filter in. Well, after the filter, next comes the bowl. I had to make me a new gasket up in there. I got that there. Put a little bit of sealer on. We'll make sure the bowl goes on. Got everything cleaned up here pretty good. Right in there, we'll make sure our drain is handy, and we'll get the nut on the bottom. Kind of a nice place to get at with a wrench. I might have to go get a socket. Yeah, socket works so much better. Okay, got everything cleaned up for the secondary here. Again, 33102 Wix number. Comes with the gasket for the cover and everything. Got the gasket, just kind of a little spots, just sealer just to hold it in place while I get the cover put on. Well, I had to knock off yesterday after I got the secondary fuel filter in. Day was coming to an end, so, and I possibly may have sourced an original filter for this thing, so I am going to at this time hold off on any retrofits here. So might as well keep going on with the project, and we'll see if we can get this pump installed. The plan is getting the drive gear in there into the right mesh with the camshaft where it was originally run. We'll do a test fit with the injection pump. We'll make sure everything slides in before we do the backlash check. So, and it's pretty hard to get this thing out of time. The drive gear, you can see here, I got her cleaned up. She looks pretty good. I don't see much for wear. I did test it in the drive lug here, and it's virtually no free play at all in that, so that should all be good. Because the rebuilder did furnish a new drive shaft along with this, so everything should be into spec. You'll notice the right side of this got a little wider spacing right here than the left side, and what that does, the pump drive gear shaft here is also offset the same. So if your timing marks don't line up in the pump after you get her in, which you can see underneath this cover, you can see the timing marks. Both of them have to be lined up. And you remember I did time the engine with the pointer on the crankshaft. It hasn't been turned, so if everything slides back in the way it's supposed to, we'll go ahead and check the backlash and get this pump bolted down. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this drive gear and get that gears all oiled up and everything. So make sure it's at least got a little lubrication on there before we put it in. Now I checked with my pump with alignment and everything on the timing marks inside, and it looks like this will have to sit in there approximately like that with the wider part of the flange towards the engine block. And you got to remember, when this goes in, the cam action of this gear will bring her back. So we'll start her a little bit this way. See if we can get her in. Okay, what I am going to do is what works pretty good is the external snap ring pliers. We can put that in there, You can squeeze it. Not too far. Go one more. Okay. As you can see, from what I can see, that should be about where it goes. Now let's test fit the injection pump and see if it slides in and the timing marks stay lined up. Okay, you see my marks are lined up. Set her on there. Okay, get down underneath here and see how the marks look. Okay, we're looking good. Everything lines up on the window, so we'll pull that pump out, we'll get the dial indicator hooked up, and we'll see what kind of backlash we got on that drive gear. Okay, got my indicator set up here. As you can see, it's a side reading one, and to do a proper backlash, they want the indicator stem approximately at the pitch of the drive gear. So, see if I get a light on, see if I can see a little better, see how it is set up in there. So anyway, I've got it zeroed out, and we'll see what our backlash reads. Now to do that, you just put a screwdriver in here and kind of move it on the other tang. Okay, see if we can get around here where we can read it good. Okay, we're back to 0. We're running about 13 thousandths backlash. I figured that was excessive just by experience and stuff. So what we're going to have to do, we'll have to disassemble the micrometer again, and to tighten the backlash up, you can see the pin right there. You turn this cam clockwise. So I do have 3 more notches I can go. So I'm just going to do one at a time. We'll pull the cam, put her back in to the pin right in the next hole. We'll do another backlash check, and if that doesn't do it, we'll just keep right on going. Now, as you can see, I've got it started, but I could not get it by hand, so what I had to do is go get the slide hammer, and it isn't taking much. I can just hook one jaw right underneath the edge right there, and we'll just tap her out. There. Should be able to handle it from there. This does have O-rings and stuff for seals in there, so I might have to get into that, but we'll see if we can get it turned a notch and put her back together and recheck our backlash. Okay, I took the whole cam out, got that all cleaned up. It was kind of crusty, which made it hard to get out. A whole lot easier now to get it in and out. Got the micrometer set up. Right now I'm reading about 4.5. Now I am reading off a 0.0005 micrometer, so every mark is a half a thousandths, every 2 mark is 1 thousandths, and the 5 would be 5 thousandths. So let's see what we got for clearance here. Like I say, spec 4 to 6 thousandths backlash. Let's see what we got. Okay, I'd say probably 4.5. If I'd change her one more peg, I would definitely be too tight on backlash. I was on this one, I was too loose. We're going to leave her there. I think we'll be just fine. Okay, ready to mount this pump. Got this all cleaned up, backlash set, new O-ring underneath the eccentric bushing, new O-ring here on the pump, timing marks lined up. This thing should slide right into position. There it is, just like that. Okay, we'll finish tightening this thing down, and then we'll verify our timing marks. Okay, we're right on there on the injection pump. Let's go around and check out the pulley on the crankshaft.
Okay, this may be kind of hard to see in here, but that front pulley has 2 marks on it. As you're turning clockwise, you come up to the first mark right off the end of the pointer there. It kind of looks like a chip, but it is a mark. That's your 22 degrees before top dead center. And that's where you have to set your injection pump timing marks. And the first mark you see there, that would be top dead center. So right now, everything verifies that the timing is on. One thing else to do is back the engine off a little bit and then turn her back into the first notch on the pulley and then check the injection pump to make sure them marks are still on. If they're not on, you can just adjust the pump again. You should be good to go. Just kind of a double verification to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be.
Okay, back the engine off, turn it back clockwise till I hit my first mark off the pointer. Come over here, recheck my injection pump, and I was just a hair off. I just loosened up, tweaked it just a little bit, got the lines lined up. So we'll get this window put back on and we should be able to wrap it up. That window also does have, it's got the gasket right here you put on, a couple little flathead screws goes in, so that seals that up. That area does run full of diesel fuel too, so you're gonna have a pretty good seal on that. So anyway, next up I'm going to install all the fittings here for the fuel lines. As you can see, I just got them kind of dry fit in here so I can make sure they're pointed all the right direction stuff. I did make a reference mark here for this elbow to make sure when I tighten this down, I'll make sure them lines are lined up. The rest of these, probably just on this fitting here, just a close nipple, you just turn that until this line lines up. This one, I am going to wait until I get the fuel filter in. Then I'll install this so I can get the fitting pointed in the direction where the line comes off the filter. Now this pump is a low pressure side. There is a regulating valve in here that keeps pressure inside the whole pump assembly. And what that does also, it creates a circulation through this pump, inlet side here, outlet side here, back to the tank. And that circulation helps to keep this pump cool. So I'm going to take this in the shop. I'll put all these fittings together in there. Then I'll come out and do the final right here tightening. Okay, got the sealant and everything, got them fittings tight. Let's get her in the pump. Got to be careful with this end now. You don't want to over tighten because it is aluminum in there. So, but just got to tighten that down until we get the fittings lined up where they need to be. I think I can get one more turn out of her. Okay, looks good. This line will line up. My return should be no problem there. So we got that one done. Like I say, this one, wait till we get the filter in. Next up, we're going to get the injector lines all installed on here. And when I took them off, I just labeled each line 1, 2, 3, 4. Fire in order is 1, 3, 4, 2. So what I'm going to do that, I'll just start putting the back ones on. Here's 1, here's 3, so I'll do number 4 and number 2, because then I can get at these hold down bolts and stuff for them a lot better. So as you can see, I got them all pretty well cleaned up, laid out here in order 1, 2, 3, 4. I might have to tweak them a little bit because this pump is turned a little bit more this way than the other one was. So, but it's just be a matter of just bending the line a little bit so it comes from here and into there. I'm off a little bit. I do not want tension on any of this stuff. I want everything to fall into place like it should with no tension. Probably help from keeping busting the fitting and stuff on them. So let's get started putting lines on. Okay, I've got 3 lines put on, 2, 3, and 4. I've got number 1 left to go. I've got that tweaked into position, and I'll kind of show you what I did to the rest of the lines, and we'll get that last line put on. Okay, to install these lines, the first thing I do, I'll put it on the injector. Get her seated in. And you can see it's got to go down into the injector. You don't tighten it tight, just kind of so you can move it around. And then what you want to make sure this ferrule here is dead square with it goes in right there. So let's get the stud with the washers in. We'll see how she lines up. Make sure you get them washers in. Okay, now when you put this together with this in here and down there, you want this to turn in easily. If it turns in easily, you got a pretty good alignment going there. Now, what I would strongly recommend, when you take these lines off, take it off here first. Because if you take it off up here, you've got to pull this line up to get the seat loose and get that stem out of that injector. When you do that, you're virtually guaranteed you're going to tweak this line a little bit and you're going to have trouble lining it up again. So what I do first, I take her off down here, take it off up here, and I do the reverse order when I install it. That's a good way to ensure these lines don't get tweaked at all. The issue I had with this is an upgraded pump for this unit. It's newer style than original. It doesn't sit in there quite the way the old one does, and I had to tweak these ends just a little to get them lined up. But if you can turn this bolt in and out by fingers, you've got a good alignment. We'll double check some of these, make sure that we got them snug down. And we got the final one on number 1. Now I'm going to leave all these loose on the injectors. When I go to initially try to start this, you'll have to loosen these anyway, and that's to help bleed the air out of the head of the pump and stuff, and make sure you have pressure to the injectors. After we get pressure up there, we get a good stream of fuel coming out. We'll tighten the lines down on the injector, and then we'll see if she starts. Okay, got a surprise in the mail today. Got the original style filter to come on this thing. As you can see, fittings on both sides. Baldwin number BF7726. In fact, since we found them, we ordered an extra one. Don't hurt these older fuel systems. You may run into trouble. This one looks actually pretty clean inside, so I don't foresee any problems, but if there is, I have an extra filter, and if they become more scarce, I've still got an extra filter. I'll have to still get the fittings from the old filter to put on the new. I did take the mounting brackets off in the assumption that I was going to have to do a retrofit on this, so we'll get all the fittings put on the block. You can see that goes on there. Then you can see how the filter clamp just hooks in on both sides here. Filter goes in, tighten the screw down, one top, one bottom, and you get her mounted into position. So let's go ahead, get the fittings switched over, get this thing installed, and I should pretty much have the installation done on this injection pump. Okay, lines are all tight, fittings all in place, filter in place, shut-off cable hooked up. This should be ready for a start. Went ahead and changed all the engine fluids, filter, redid the air cleaner oil, got that all cleaned out, brand new oil and that. So, okay, we'll call this the complete on the installation of the injection pump. Still have to put fuel in the tank and stuff, so we'll call this wrap up on the installation part of this, and next up we'll be doing a start. Okay, crank again.
Just getting a little smoke out the stack.